we go. Hello.
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 I am Liz Bob the DM for those who don't know me. Although I really should have probably changed my name on the thing to that.
Yeah, I was
Our
going to say, for the record, I am not Susie Hernishin. I'm on my wife's machine because her camera is better than mine. So
Oh,
I am
okay.
Jay.
And Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Um, these are my fabulous colleagues who are running some games with us for QuestYinz Games at the December 14th event at Getaway Bar and Grill in Brookline. So I know I'm running D&D, which I love D&D. D&D is my passion. I've been playing since 2013, but I've been in love with tabletop role-playing games since the 90s. I just never got around to playing D&D until 2013, until yeah, the 3.5 edition. Um, but then the fifth edition came out. We don't talk about fourth edition. And fifth edition came out, and it took me a few years to try it. But once I did, I mean, I think it's been really great for the hobby and for the game. And then 2024, I'm still adjusting to. So all my games are still 2014 rules. um, but I have a fun little adventure planned. But I really want to hear about what you guys are planning. So, who wants to kick us off?
Uh, I'll go first. Right now, I mean, I've done D&D since the '90s, um, and I've always kind of liked branching out. And with you running D&D and having that covered, I'm willing to branch out. The display behind me has all of the RPGs I've never played. But right now, with Daggerheart being kind of the second runner, if not the first, uh, oh, I know.
Ooh,
But so I'll be running Daggerheart again for this December. I probably will rotate, as you know. I've got Shadow
absolutely.
Dark I'm in love with. A number of good games that are very geared towards the one-shot kind of mentality. Shadow Dark is very good for that. But right now, Daggerheart, I've got miniatures for it. I've got the cards for it. I've got everything. The only thing they have to bring is themselves. I even got the dice.
Absolutely. Yeah, we know about that, right? When we run games for the public, you gotta make sure to provide the dice.
For
Um,
sure.
uh, what about Daggerheart is different? Well, I mean, yeah. What's the distinction, do you think, between Daggerheart and D&D? What makes it stand out?
It is. I've heard many, including Todd Kendrick, refer to it as D&D for theater kids. It's a lot. It's a lot less focused on the mechanics of the game as it is the narrative of the game. It encourages the DM to let the players kind of build the scenario, not entirely, but work together as a team at the table to coordinate and kind of figure out what is happening in the scene. So, for example, what we would say is a stealth check. They're going to roll to see if they're being quiet, and depending, say they get a medium result, that might be okay. You're going to be heard by somebody. What do you think your character's done to be heard? Instead of me saying, "Hey, you stepped on a stick," it
Right.
puts more into the player's seat as far as what they're involved with. For that, I love it. Mechanically, I'm not. We're not here to talk the mechanics of Dungeon Heart right now, but or Dagger Heart rather. But it is very different. It does take some getting used to. I've come up with a really good way of teaching it, actually based on notes I took from Gen Con this year, where I played Daggerheart. They had a very good one shot setup to kind of teach people. So I've kind of adapted that. It's worked really well.
That's awesome. I bet that Gen Con experience was really fun.
It was my first one, so it was an experience.
You'll never forget your first one.
Yeah. Of like 70,000 people. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, it's if you're claustrophobic, it's not the place for you.
Well, I know we didn't necessarily come to talk about the mechanics of Daggerheart, but because I sat at the table and I was just sort of like really impressed with those mechanics, when you do roll a dice, like what does that look like? Just give us a little taste.
So biggest difference. Well, if you don't know D&D, then you have no reference from D&D. But if you do know D&D or any other D20 mechanic, Daggerheart uses 2D12. They work off this hope and fear mechanic where one of your D12s is your hope and the other one's fear. And based on your roll, whether it succeeds or not is based on the total of those two numbers. Whether you roll with fears, whether that's the higher number, or vice versa, whether you roll with hope. If you roll with hope, everything goes well. You get a hope token to fuel other abilities later on your character sheet, and you continue on. If you roll with fear, however, that ends that kind of initiative. There is no real initiative in the game, but once someone does roll with fear, it will come back to the DM. And though your check might still succeed, something's happened. Maybe a figure emerges from the darkness and joins the fight or something like that. And then I get a fear token. The DM gets a fear token that lets them fuel their minions, if you will. And that can activate a monster. You can activate an ability, an environment thing. But that has been the biggest transition, is understanding the hope and fear die. Otherwise, you still roll different dice for your weapons. You roll saves. Still use the 2d12s, but there's still a lot of the mechanics of D&D are still present.
It's still improv and math.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Those are the core fundamentals, I think, of all the best of any TTRPG. And I just realized as you were speaking where the token part of that mechanic sounds so familiar. It reminds me of Seventh Sea. Have either of you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, never played it.
Have you played it?
I have not played it, but I have listened to professionals playing it. So, as is the case for a lot of people, I think who learn the game through actual plays, listening or watching.
Yeah, it's great. And that's one last thing I'll say about Daggerheart is they are not shy about the fact that they kind of pulled mechanics from other games, and they actually call that out in the book, which is huge for a company to do. They will say, "Hey, we took this from Blades in the Dark. Hey, we took this from Shadow Dark or Seven Seas, possibly." And of course, D&D. Like they can't avoid that.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah,
but it speaks out to how that company's kind of running, and I really like it for that.
Right, and so for anyone who is not familiar with the origins of Daggerheart, this is from Darrington Press, right? The company associated with Critical Role. So this is Matt Mercer and that crew, and now also Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, right?
Yep.
Who used to be the sort of creative leads of Dungeons and Dragons at Wizards of the Coast, and that was a bit of a coup. They retired, and then 2 weeks later, they found a second career.
Retired.
They weren't the only ones, but yeah, they were the big
Sure,
ones.
yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who's not in the know, that's the short version of that story. But Daggerheart is really it's doing a lot. They just did an Acquisitions Incorporated with Daggerheart, I believe, at PAX Unplugged just recently. So, I'm if that sounds interesting to anyone listening, go ahead and get your ticket to Dave's Table for the 14th and try it out.
Please.
And I'll shift us to Jay, who is not Susie. We cannot stress that enough.
No, I'm sure she would stress that heavily.
So, Jay, tell us about what you'll be running.
Okay, so like you, I also have run Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time. I am the grandfather of the group. I've played since 1984. Just outed myself for how old I am. But I've also, like Dave, I've run a lot of systems. So I'm going to swing back to an old favorite, and I'm coming back to Vampire. I'll be running 5e as it is the most current iteration. However, I was at PAX, and if I'm not mistaken, we could probably be looking for a new version from White Wolf, I would assume soon, because Mophidius had no product at their booth. it's a sign that it's been probably bought back by White Wolf. So I'm assuming within a year or two we'll be seeing a new version of that. But until then, I will be trying my hand at running 5e again. I'm anxious to get back to a dark campaign or dark stories. Mostly because I run D&D for little kids now on the weekend as a paid gig. And I cannot run dark stories for little kids. So Vampire will be a fresh change. But I'm looking forward to it. I've had to relearn a little bit. Most of the systems are the same. The biggest difference is your hunger dice, so that's something I'm going to wrap my head around. But we'll be doing an introductory story because it kind of gives everyone everything they need to know in a very compact, very friendly format that it's easy to digest as we go through the game. So I think for anyone even curious, it'll be a nice way to introduce them in a very piecemeal format that makes it easy for a newcomer coming to a table who might be intimidated by role-playing, even more so when you know it's a dark thematic game. Vampire lends itself more to the story-driven narrative and theater of the mind. So like Daggerheart, it enforces more, you get more theater kid inspiration play, if you will.
Fantastic. And Vampire is Vampire the Masquerade, right? Which has which is part of the World of Darkness, and that really the game has a long history, right? And I'm sure you know a bit about that.
So yeah, White Wolf introduced Vampire as its core game, and then once it gained in popularity, especially back in the early '90s when Goth was kind of hitting a mainstream peak. They rode that wave very heavily, and it wasn't long before you had live action role playing developing around it. And then they started introducing side games like Werewolf, Mage, let's see what else, Magi Ascension, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Wraith, which was a ghost based game. Mm-hmm. Wraith was very hard to get your head around. They had a fairy-based one. I don't remember what that one was. And they also had Hunter the Reckoning, where you played hunters of supernatural creatures. And I've run all of these at some point in my story career of running games. But Vampire probably is my core favorite. It's very fun. You can run it in any kind of environment, which makes it neat. You can run it historically. You could run it in the future. Most of the rules will always still apply. So I'm looking forward to it and getting some new players.
Awesome. Well, anyone out there who has heard about or just now learned a bit about Vampire the Masquerade, and it sounds exciting, get your ticket to Jay's table. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up?
I want to ask Jay, would you agree a good study material might be watching Underworld?
Yeah, I mean, I can take any The Crow. Anyone who wants to get into the environment of that game, pick any great movie from the mid to late '90s about anything gothic. Yeah, we'll break some myths about vampires when we hit the table, but we can't bring everything from Hollywood into it. But it'll certainly be something. So
obviously, Vampire has its origins in the 90s. Does anyone else remember from the 90s? There was a television show. It was not very good, but it was a television show called Kindred the Embraced.
Yeah, it was Mark Ryan Hagan who produced Vampire the Masquerade originally. It was his show. And yes, it was terrible. I did buy it on DVD back in the day.
I guess I had friends. We were all into this Kindred the Embrace show, and I remember finding out that there was a role-playing game and being like,
it was weird. I don't know why they called it Kindred. That obviously is the term in the book, and the Embraced is how you become a vampire, but I don't know why they just didn't lead with vampire, because I don't know that the average lay person knew what a kindred was. So,
yeah, there were a number of reasons why the show didn't necessarily succeed critically, but that might have been one of them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for making time for me today.
Thank you.
the day after Thanksgiving, so nice little downtime. Yeah, we'll hope to see some friendly new faces on December 14th. That's a Sunday from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Getaway Bar and Grill.
Awesome.
That's great.